Hey everyone, Noor here. Have you ever wondered what happens to that little tube of blood after you get a blood test? It doesn't just sit on a shelf. It goes on an incredible journey through a laboratory, a place filled with amazing machines that help doctors figure out what's going on inside our bodies. These clinical laboratory instruments are the unsung heroes of modern medicine. They're like super-powered detectives, uncovering clues that are completely invisible to the naked eye. Without them, doctors would be guessing a lot more, and healthcare would look very, very different. It's science, and it's awesome. Think about it. Every time a doctor makes a diagnosis, from something as common as the flu to more complex conditions, they're often relying on data from these incredible tools. Understanding how these instruments work isn't just for scientists in white lab coats, it's for all of us. When we grasp the basics of these machines, we gain a much deeper appreciation for the science behind medicine. It demystifies the process and shows us just how much precision and ingenuity go into every single test result. It helps us see the connection between a small sample and a life-saving treatment plan. So, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and take a tour of the clinical lab. We'll explore 5 fundamental instruments that are working behind the scenes 24/7 to help keep us healthy. We're going to look at what they do, how they do it, and why they are so critically important. By the end of this video, you'll see your next doctor's visit in a whole new light. So, put on your thinking caps because science is about to get real. Consider the following. First up, let's look at a classic, an icon of science, the microscope. You've probably seen one of these in a science class, but in a clinical lab, it's a frontline diagnostic tool. Its job is simple but profound: to magnify things that are way too small for us to see with just our eyes. We're talking about individual blood cells, tiny, wiggling bacteria, or even crystals that might be causing problems in the body. The microscope takes a world that is completely hidden from us and brings it into sharp focus, allowing scientists to see the very building blocks of life and disease. How does it do it? Well, it's all about light and lenses. A light source at the bottom shines up through a thin slice of a sample, like a drop of blood smeared on a glass slide. That light then passes through a series of carefully shaped glass lenses. These lenses bend the light, spreading it out and making the image of the sample appear much, much larger. By turning different knobs, a laboratory professional can change the magnification, zooming in closer and closer to hunt for specific clues, like misshapen red blood cells that could signal anemia or bacteria that indicate an infection. It's an indispensable tool. Before any of the fancy automated machines, there was the microscope, and it still plays a vital role. For certain diagnoses, nothing beats the trained eye of a human looking through a lens. It's a direct visual confirmation of what's happening at a cellular level. It allows scientists to not just count things, but to observe their shape, their size, and their behavior. It's a fundamental piece of the diagnostic puzzle, providing a visual story that no other instrument can tell. Science. Next, let's get dizzy with the centrifuge. Imagine you have a smoothie with fruit pulp and juice, and you want to separate them. How would you do it? You could wait a long time for gravity to do the work, or you could spin it. That's exactly what a centrifuge does, but on a much faster and more precise scale. Its purpose is to take a liquid sample, usually blood, and separate it into its different components based on their density. It's a critical first step for many, many different laboratory tests. It's all about using physics to unmix things. Here's the spin. A lab technician places tubes of blood into holders inside the centrifuge. When it's turned on, it spins these tubes at incredibly high speeds, thousands of rotations per minute. This creates a powerful centrifugal force, which is way stronger than Earth's gravity. This force pulls the heaviest, densest parts of the blood, like the red blood cells, to the very bottom of the tube. The lighter components, like the watery plasma and platelets, are left as distinct layers on top. It's a beautifully simple and effective process. Why is this separation so important? Well, many tests need to analyze just one part of the blood. For example, if a doctor wants to check your glucose or cholesterol levels, the test is performed on the plasma, not the whole blood. The centrifuge allows lab professionals to easily and cleanly collect that plasma without it being contaminated by red blood cells. By separating the sample into its fundamental parts, the centrifuge prepares it for more specific analysis by other instruments. It's the ultimate sample prep machine. The spectrophotometer painting with light. Now, let's shine a light on our next instrument, the spectrophotometer. That's a big word, but the idea behind it is elegantly simple. Its job is to measure the amount of a specific substance in a liquid by seeing how much light that liquid absorbs. Think about it like this. If you shine a light through a glass of very weak lemonade, most of the light will pass through. But if you shine that same light through a glass of dark grape juice, much less light will make it to the other side. The spectrophotometer does the same thing, but with incredible precision. The process is a beautiful dance of chemistry and physics. First, a chemical reagent is added to the patient's sample, like that plasma we got from the centrifuge. This reagent is designed to react with the specific substance we want to measure, like glucose or cholesterol, and in doing so, it produces a color. The more substance there is, the darker the color becomes. Then, the spectrophotometer shoots a beam of light of a very specific wavelength through the colored sample. A detector on the other side measures exactly how much light made it through. By comparing the amount of light that went into the amount of light that came out, the machine can calculate something called absorbance. This absorbance value is directly proportional to the concentration of the substance we're testing for. It's a powerful quantitative tool. It doesn't just tell us if something is present, it tells us exactly how much is there. This is crucial for monitoring conditions like diabetes by measuring blood sugar or assessing liver function by measuring enzymes. It turns color into hard, life-saving data. All right, let's move on to a real workhorse of the lab, the hematology analyzer. Imagine having to count every single red and white blood cell in a drop of blood and also measure their size and shape. Doing that with a microscope would take forever. The hematology analyzer is an automated marvel that does this entire process in about a minute. Its main function is to perform a complete blood count, or CBC, one of the most commonly ordered lab tests. It gives doctors a rapid snapshot of the cellular components of a patient's blood. So how does this amazing machine count millions of cells it can't even see? It uses some very clever technology. One common method is called electrical impedance. The blood sample is diluted and then pulled through a tiny hole called an aperture. An electrical current is flowing across this aperture. Since blood cells don't conduct electricity very well, every time a single cell passes through the hole, it briefly interrupts the current. The machine counts each one of these interruptions as one cell. It's like a tiny cellular turnstile, but it doesn't just count. The size of the electrical interruption is proportional to the size of the cell that passed through. This allows the analyzer to not only give a red blood cell count and a white blood cell count, but to also differentiate between the different types of white blood cells, measure the amount of hemoglobin, and check the size and volume of the red cells. This detailed information is vital for diagnosing a huge range of conditions, from anemia and infections to leukemia and other blood disorders. It's automation at its best, providing fast, reliable, and comprehensive data for patient care. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the autoclave. This machine might not analyze patient samples directly, but without it, none of the other tests would be reliable. The autoclave is essentially a high-powered pressure cooker. Its one crucial job is to sterilize laboratory equipment, media, and waste. Sterilization means killing all microbial life. We're talking bacteria, viruses, fungi, and tough little spores to ensure that the tools we use are completely and totally clean. This prevents cross-contamination between samples and protects lab workers from infectious agents. The magic of the autoclave comes from a combination of three things: high temperature, steam, and pressure. Items to be sterilized are placed inside a sealed, heavy-duty metal chamber. The machine then pumps in steam, forcing all the air out. As it continues to pump in steam, the pressure inside the chamber rises, which allows the temperature of the steam to climb far above the normal boiling point of water, typically to 121 degrees Celsius or higher. This superheated, pressurized steam can penetrate everything, denaturing the proteins and enzymes that microbes need to survive. Think of it as the ultimate reset button for lab equipment. Glassware, surgical instruments, and solutions used for growing bacteria cultures are all put through the autoclave. This ensures that when a scientist performs a test, the only microbes they find are the ones from the patient sample, not some stray bacteria that was lingering on the test tube. It's a fundamental principle of good laboratory practice. The autoclave is the silent guardian, the powerful purifier that makes accurate, trustworthy science possible every single day. So there you have it. From the magnifying lens of the microscope to the sterilizing power of the autoclave, these instruments are more than just machines. They are essential partners in healthcare. Each one plays a unique and irreplaceable role in a complex diagnostic process. They take a small, simple sample of blood or fluid and transform it into a wealth of objective data. This data empowers doctors to move beyond guesswork and make informed decisions, to diagnose diseases earlier, monitor treatments more effectively, and ultimately, to save lives. It's a symphony of science, and every instrument plays its part perfectly. The world of laboratory science is a fascinating and vital field that's often hidden from public view. The accuracy and reliability of every test result depend on these instruments and the skilled professionals who operate them. So the next time you hear a doctor say, "We're just going to run some tests," you'll have a much clearer picture of the incredible technology and scientific principles at work behind the scenes. These unseen heroes are constantly working to unlock the secrets held within us, providing the clarity needed for modern medical care. I hope this has inspired a little bit of awe for the science in the lab. If you found this interesting, I encourage you to keep exploring. Look up medical laboratory science. Read about how new diagnostic tests are developed, or maybe even thank a lab professional next time you have the chance. There's a whole universe of discovery happening every day in the lab. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.